Hello, everybody. It is I.
And who are you?
I'm, what was that, Dad's Daily Digest or whatever he put? Was that it?
I don't know, but you're apparently very popular on my YouTube channel.
Well, I appreciate that. It's nice to know that people like to see you, and it's always nice. That's one of the things I liked about City Council that I've talked to about before, because I have told you I'm not a politician, and I've been a member of both parties. Well, I should say 3 parties, because I've been an independent also. But I was always able to go to City Council, and as long as I knew I had 4 years, I could say what I really felt, and I didn't have to worry about, because I didn't care if I stayed on the council. And so they just kept re-electing me because I did speak my mind. I like to believe that. And then I wanted to thank Matt, because he sent me a little reminder, because I had mentioned I liked the flying type games, and if I had Flight Controller, and I wanted to tell Matt, yes I do. That was one of the very first, I think it was the first game app I put on my iPhone, and I used to drive my wife nuts playing that, but I'd play it all the time. And then
Tom Brown has a question.
Well, someone asked about Peachtree accounting software I saw earlier. Oh, there. I think that's fine. All the software is good. It has some advantages over QuickBooks. The tough thing about QuickBooks, it's very easy to change. And that's a good thing if you want that kind of flexibility, but as an accountant, we don't like to change things. So I'm very careful when I'm working with that software, that I don't change things, like QuickBooks, that I don't change things I don't want to change.
And if you hear a voice in the background, that's my mom, who does not want to appear on camera this time. Tom Brown, though, has a question. What's your biggest frustration with technology from a senior's perspective?
My biggest frustration is when I ask you all, I usually get this question where it goes so it takes me a while to figure out what I'm being told, and I'm more a hands-on type learner. If someone sits behind me and says, okay, click here and select this and select that, that's a better way for me to learn. Now, I don't know if that's a senior thing, or is it just the way I learn. I've always had like even in college, I'd have to read textbooks and that thing a couple times for everything to sink in, so to speak. But I was a good student too after the service. I was in the service six years, so I kind of knew what I wanted, and if you know what you want, you work harder for it. But when I was in grade school, in fact, I tried to prove to my kids the worth of studying and how good their dad was when my kids were very small, my middle son, especially because he was having some difficulties at the time. And so I went to my grade school and got my transcript. And I was actually embarrassed to share it with him, but I did. I wasn't a very good grade school student, to say the least. But
I have a question from Stacy Ferris. What is your biggest regret in technology? What have you purchased or did not?
Stacy Ferris?
Yeah.
Where's that name?
He's right there in the middle. What is your biggest regret in technology?
PH.
Yeah.
The reason I did a double take, I went to a university. It was Ferris State College, Ferris, and that name kind of struck me. But what was my...
what is your biggest technology regret in terms of what you've purchased that you wish you didn't?
Something I purchased. Well, you know what? There really is nothing that I purchased that I really regretted, other than as soon as I purchased item A, it became obsolete because item B came out. So it was always kind of a guessing word, and I'm a type of person, this is probably one of the things where I drive Chris nuts, is when I'm looking for a new computer, it takes me a year to decide exactly what I want to do, so I'll say, well, what's this got that this one doesn't have? And he kind of walks me through it. But going through that, see, because I am that visual learner, I kind of learn. So then I kind of know what to look for, and once I decide, then I kind of share with that, and he either gives me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. So that's how I decide on computers. And the gadgetry, I love the gadgetry, I always have. I like the new things. We always had the first video games. I guess it goes back to when I was a kid. I hate to admit this, but on our block, well, our whole neighborhood, probably the city of Des Moines, Iowa, we were one of the first ones to have a TV. And our TV screen was about like this. It was real small. And and it would come on just like an hour or two a day. And they would show like the old time movies and serials, Flash Gordon and those kinds of things, and they were cliffhangers because they used to show them in the movies to get people to keep coming back to the movies. So they came up with what they called cliffhangers, and I charged the neighborhood kids to come in and watch television. That's probably where Chris gets his entrepreneurial spirit.
So Brian asks, what old school tech do you miss that is no longer used or relevant?
Old school tech. Old school. Well, everything to me is old school. I kind of miss, in a lot of ways, sometimes I miss radio, because like when I was traveling, I commuted between Des Moines and Kansas City, Missouri, which is about 220 miles. And I would drive down there, spend a few days, then drive home. During the game, I'm a Cubs fan. I'm not a very good picker because I'm also a Detroit Lions football fan, but that's okay. I love the Cubs. But I would listen to the games, and you have to use your imagination with the radio. It's not like television where you see it. Well, in a way, the internet's kind of like that, because sometimes when you read things, you don't always get the full meaning of it because you don't see people's facial expression. So it's like I say, someone can tell me to go to hell with an email, I'd get very upset. But if he says it in person, I see he's smiling and he's joking, then I know he's joking, and so I know he's doing it in humor. But you don't always see that on the internet. That's kind of a bad example, but it kind of gets that out.
Do you have any questions from YouTube in front of you? It's kind of hard to follow the YouTube comments. They're usually WHOWIKDIN. WI was actually, by the way, was one of the first stations in the Des Moines area. That was a station opened in Ames by Iowa State University. Also the home of the very first computer, believe it or not. The ENIAC, I think it is. ISU. That's where it was. Yep. ISU, Iowa State University. Anything else?
Dreamcast.
You trying to keep up with the YouTube comments? They kind of stream in kind of quick.
Do you think an independent consultant who is just getting started should have an accountant right away, or only once they have? I would wait and make sure what you're getting into is what you want to get into, unless you get into a situation where you really want to know what's deductible. That's the key thing. Everybody wants to pay the least amount of taxes, and when you hear a politician's made billions of dollars, he only paid X number of taxes, the key thing is, was he legal in what he did? Those same opportunities are available to each of us, and you need to know what those are. So you either educate yourself to those items through the internet, or you go to an accountant, pay for an hour, and get that information.